Okay, so yeah, we'll start. So welcome to Smart Clinical Training. And yeah, thanks for choosing the Smart Clinical Training for your SAS courses. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Avi Srivastava, and I have experience of around 14 years in the clinical SAS industry. And I'm working as a programming manager in one of the client company. And I was associated with companies like Seniors Health. Then after I worked in IQVIA, and later on I worked in recently I worked in AstraZeneca, and I still work in this field because I find this field really interesting, and I am the founder and trainer here at Smart Clinical Training. So this slide I think I should not cover, but still I will cover because this is the reason why somebody should learn SAS and clinical SAS. And since you already have chosen this SAS to learn, that means you are aware of all these points which I'm going to cover next. Why somebody should learn SAS and clinical SAS. The first reason is that it is highly demandable and well payable. There is a lot of requirement in this pharmaceutical industry for a clinical SAS programmer. Demand is more, but resources are very less. So obviously, if the demand is more and resources are less, then the payable will be good. That's the one reason. And also the SAS industry is still not explored by everyone. Not everyone is aware of that there is industry in a SAS. So it is good to have the career in a SAS industry. Second reason is, in my 14 years of experience, I have never seen any kind of recessions or layoff in a pharmaceutical field. In a clinical SAS, I have seen layoffs in the field like medical coding or in the pharmacovigilance. I have seen that, but in a clinical SAS, I have never seen any kind of layoffs. So it's one of the most secure and safe job, I could say. And currently, you know that market is not good. Like the companies, big companies like Google, Microsoft, Tesla, and all those companies are firing their employee. So in terms of career stability and safety, this clinical SAS programmer is one of the top job, I could say. And there are opportunities everywhere. If you go to US, UK, Canada, Germany, India, everywhere you have the opportunities as a clinical SAS programmer. If you are someone who is interested to work remotely, then this is again the best kind of profile you will work on. A lot of companies offer like you can work from home completely. If some company are having the policy of hybrid kind of work where you have to go like once or twice to a office and you are an extraordinary performer, then they will give you exception that you can work from the home. But there are some companies who like tell the employer to come to the office every day, but those kinds of companies are very rare. So we'll not count that. So most of the work are remote here in the clinical science industry. Freelance. So if you are someone who wants to do some kinds of side hustle and want to make some extra um, money, then you can work on a freelance project. There are a lot of projects you'll find on the website where you can work as a freelance programmer. And SAS is one of the easiest programming language compared to, I started my career in C, C++, Java. And that was one hell of a work to start with. I was kind of clueless. I was knowing the basics of SAS, Java and everything, but how to implement it in a real time, that is one of the most toughest thing to do. But when it comes to SAS is very easy to learn. SAS is easy to learn and easy to forget. If you don't do practice on a regular basis, you'll forget the SAS syntax. So it's one of the easiest language to learn. And also the code what we write while working in a company is not that complicated. Same kind of syntax we'll talk about that. Let's say, for example, if else condition, proc sort, these are some syntax or procedures, conditional statements are there in a SAS. Same kind of code, we will use it again and again. So after a certain year of experience, you will observe that you need a domain experience more compared to the SAS programming, because programmatically you can manage, because same code you have to repeat again and again. Main thing is to understand the concept. The clinical concept is basically SDTM, ADAM, and TL that we'll see in our upcoming classes. So as it is easiest language, so anyone can learn and switch. It doesn't matter like what kind of field you are working in. If you are really interested, you can learn the SAS programming and you can switch to this industry. Social cause and interesting. So when you work on a clinical SAS, like studies, when you work studies on a study or you support a project, you are basically supporting or you're involved in the drug discovery process till the time when the drug get approved in the market. So you are supporting the process of drug getting approved. So once that drug is approved, that could be taken by a patient that can save a life. So it's a kind of social cause as well. And the work is also interesting. I told you I'm still working in a company because I find this work very interesting. Because you can relate everything with a real-time examples and world. So it's very easy to learn SAS. And if you are able to understand the concept of clinical SAS programming, which is STTM, it's actually very interesting to work in this field. So these are a few reasons what I think somebody should learn SAS and clinical SAS. Is anyone wanted to add something extra? I hope I was clear till now.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And no need to call me, sir. You can just call me by name Avi. Okay. So, okay, I will congratulate you again for choosing the SAS to learn, and it can be the best move for your career and for your personal growth as well. So all the very best, and I'm looking forward to work with you all.
Thank you.
So what we'll cover in a base and advanced SAS. First of all, we are learning the programs. We're learning SAS. SAS has basically 3 modules. First, we are learning base SAS and advanced SAS. How to write a code. What is the syntax of SAS programming? That we'll learn first. And these are the things which will focus. We'll focus on all these topics in a SAS. And this is sufficient enough for you to work as a statistical programmer. Any kind of work you are assigned to, you can work on it using this. You can work on it using this topics from the base and advanced SAS. And few companies using R programming as well on a very minor scale, on a very smaller scale. So if you learn base and advanced SAS, it's very much similar to R programming. So if you understand base and advanced SAS, if you're good at base and advanced SAS, then you can easily learn the syntax of R programming. Not all the company uses, few of the client company have started using R programming. CROs doesn't use R programming. They are completely rely on SAS programming because they have their system, application, all those license things they have for the SAS. So they don't want to invest in a R programming. R is free also, but they don't feel that like they have to do a lot of work to get shift to R programming part. So they are not doing anything. If you're joining CRO, R is not required. But if you're joining the pharmaceutical company, like you have a Eli Lilly, you have Pfizer, you have Novo Nordisk, you have these company uses R programming on a very smaller scale. It's not required for everyone to know, but if you know, that can add extra value to your resume. We will not focus on R programming. Once you learn the SAS programming, you have to implement the programming language in a real time environment, which is called as a clinical SAS. In clinical SAS, you have STTM, ADAM, and TLF. So you may work in a STTM team, or there's one team called as biostatistics, which will include ADAM and TLF. A few company will work end to end, starting from STTM till TLF generation. We'll cover STTM, ADAM, TLF, and when we have a sessions on STTM, we'll have a mock interviews as well every week. And then after, at the last, we will work on the how we can prepare a resume or CV and how we can market it. So these are basically the overall, a big picture view of what we are covering in our training programs. Is that clear? Any questions? And feel free to like ask for any questions. Don't feel hesitant. This is a time for you to learn. Don't think like you're asking any question which can be silly. Ask any kinds of questions, silly questions, anything you can ask. Anything? Is it clear?
Yes, sir. We clear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So we are going to cover, we are going to start with base SAS programming, and we'll cover everything from scratch. Even though you learn, you might be knowing few syntax of, or you might be good at base and advanced SAS, because I heard, I think I know few of you are SAS certified as well. But however, I'm going to cover everything from scratch. After a training program, you can apply as a fresher or as experience. It doesn't matter. I'll cover everything from scratch up to a experience level. So during the session, I will request you to be little mindful and attentive and listen me very carefully. So if you do all these things, like almost 80% of the work is done. And then after you practice whatever assignment I'm giving to you, you practice it on a daily basis. That will make your journey smoother.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. SAS is a software package which is developed by SAS Institute, and SAS application is used for the data analysis. When you work as a statistical programmer, we will do the analysis. So that can be performed using the SAS software used in a data management, statistical analysis, report writing, business modeling, application development, and data warehousing. In simple language, SAS is mostly used in the financial sector and healthcare sector. Financial sector we are not covering, we are covering the healthcare sector. It's a platform independent. What's the meaning of platform independent?
It is like open source.
Okay, anyone else? Platform independent. Anyone? Kinjal, Madhuri, Nikhila, Sudipti, Sudhir?
No idea.
Okay.
It is not dependent on any other or interrelated to any other.
Yes, so it is not dependent upon any particular operating system. Like you have Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. It will work on all kinds of platform. And SAS is not a case sensitive language. That means you can write the code in a smaller case or uppercase. But to make the code looks good, aesthetically good, you can follow one particular approach of writing either the code in a uppercase or in a lowercase. But I personally prefer writing the entire code in a lowercase. But however, whatever syntax, whatever function, it's up to you. If you're writing in uppercase, lowercase, SAS will still run. History of SAS. James Goodnight is the father of SAS programming. He was the statistics graduate student from North Carolina. He has discovered this SAS programming application, and he has written the entire backend of this application using the using the C programming, the year 1959. So it is there from a long time. It's been exists. So today SAS Institute is the world's largest private, not world largest, it's one of the world's largest privately held software company. And Dr. James Goodnight is its CEO, and he is involved in the development of a SAS system software. If any kinds of updates are required, he is still involved in all those processes. So he still look after all those updates and everything. Any kind of changes, any updates, so he is directly involved in all those things. Okay, no worries. So you can, like, if you have a SAS software, you can use it, or you can go for this SAS on demand for academic. I personally use this SAS on demand. This is the link for it. I'll share the link. If you don't have the link, how to create your account on this SAS on demand, this is the link I'll share, and you can create your profile. This is the free version of SAS. You can click here. Once you go to this particular website, you have an option of creating a profile. You can fill all the details, and your profile will be created. Once profile is created, you can sign in, accept the terms and condition, and click on sign in. So this is the one which you can use if you don't have a application. I don't personally use any kind of application. And click on code with SAS Studio.
No, Abhi, we have to download it.
Okay, no worries. You can sign up on this particular website. Okay. So you can use the free version of SAS, which is SAS on demand, and almost all the functions, everything will work on this.
Or not?
We can see the SAS Studio
Share
screen.
the
Yeah.
We are seeing you.
I think some of you have the lagging issue. No problem, because anyway, the sessions are getting recorded. So you can come back after the session and you can see it again if something you are not following up or it's lagging. Once you logged into a SAS application, this is the one you can see code. This is the editor window where you can write your code. This is your editor window in a SAS software. This is your log. Once you execute the code, there might be some errors, log, warning. Those things you can see in a log window here. Once you print the result using some syntax, which we'll see later, all those things will come up under result tab. So you have, once I run, let's say I'm running this code, there is a one tab which is output data, where you can see the data. Don't just see the code. I'll explain everything later. I'm just giving you the idea of all these windows here, all these tabs here. This particular section is your project tree. You have the explore window. Whatever data I'm keeping, it's under this particular folders. This is the explorer window. And this is your project tree. This is also your explorer window. Here I have some data. So we have editor window where we write the code. 5 minutes. So first we will talk about libraries in SAS. So if you see here, I could see here something called as libraries. Let's try to relate this with some real-time, real-world example. Let's take an example of car manufacturing company such as anything, Tata, Audi, anything. So those company will have their factory or warehouse where they will keep all their accessories like wheels, suspension, steering, brake, batteries, anything. Those are the accessories or physical things which this car company keep in their factory or warehouse. Now, same thing now will relate with the data. When it comes to data, we don't have any physical thing. We have all the information virtual. Instead of keeping it in a factory or warehouse, when it comes to the data, we keep it in a library. Try to relate it with an example. And under that, for a car, they have the accessories like wheels, suspension, steering. Similarly, you have the information, you will keep it under the factory. These are the, you have a library for a SAS. When you have a data, you keep it under a libraries. Under that, you will keep all those information. So let's take example. These are my libraries. This is my warehouse or factory for information, for data. I'm keeping it under a series. Under that, I have a data with these names. These are my libraries again. These are the libraries. SAS help, SAS user, work. These are my libraries. These are the factory or warehouse where we keep our data. Under that, if we open, let's say SAS help, now you could see you have the information here. In case of car manufacturing company, this may be wheels, suspension, all those things. But when it comes to data, SAS help is my factory or warehouse. Under that, I have all this information. I can open anything. Let's open cars. This is a data. Is it clear?
Yes, Abhi.
Yes, sir.
This is whatever you are seeing currently is SAS data set. And it will have extension of, so if you have any Excel file, extension is EX, LX, right? Or if you have a text file, notepad file, you will have the extension as .txt. Similarly, for SAS data set, you have the extension as SAS B7D80. That is the extension. So if you open this particular data set, and if you download this and open it from the outside this SAS software, you will see the extension of SAS B7DAT. This is your data set. Or in a simple layman language, this is a table. I have some information here. Let me make it a little bigger for you. This is my table. Under that, I have columns and I have rows. So I have how many columns here?
4,
4 columns here. I have total
171 rows.
100 rows. A combination of columns and rows is called as a SAS data set. We won't call it as a table. We call it as a SAS data set. SAS data set is nothing but a combination of rows and column. But still, in actual environment, when you work in a company, you won't say it as the rows and column. You will use a different terms. For column, you will say it as a variable. I have fuel, CP ratio, EQ ratio, NOx. These are my columns, which I call it as a variable. These are my make, model, type. These are my columns. Sorry, these are my variables. And all these 100 rows you have here, you will call it as an observation or record. Okay, so you understood the terms here. SAS data set, which is basically a table, and instead of calling it as a column, you will call it as a variable. Instead of calling it as a rows, I have a 27 is a rows. I have this record. I will call it as an observation or record basically. Clear? Any question?
No, Abhi, as of now.
Okay.
I'm having a question.
Yeah.
Like you are telling like the gas or car, how did these come? Like
Yeah.
how
So I'm
is it
about to cover that. So when you log in into SAS software, you will have some predefined data sets. SAS will provide you the predefined data set for your practice. These are your libraries, right? Under that, you have a data sets. These are by default, it's there. I have not created it. I have not created it. It's all under the libraries, which is predefined.
And is the data set, I mean, you were telling that the data sets were predefined. Is it
Yes.
only on this platform or like on other SaaS platforms
All,
either?
everywhere, everywhere. If you're using SAS Enterprises Guide, SAS Studio application, if you have downloaded, you'll find these predefined data sets there. You'll find these libraries there. So I was talking about libraries. You have a libraries. These are your libraries. Libraries are of two types. One is permanent, one is temporary. Whatever you are seeing here, except work, is a permanent library. Even if you sign out, if power goes off, these libraries will be there. Whatever data set you are seeing inside this, you can still find it once you log in. So that's why it is called as the permanent library. But when it comes to work, work is a temporary library. So if you're keeping any data sets here, we'll see how we can keep it in this particular work area. So if in case you're keeping any data sets in a work area, it will go off. If you sign out, power went off. When you log in, you won't see the data sets here. Okay, that's the meaning of permanent libraries and temporary libraries.
Excuse me, Abhi, is there any use of permanent library during programming?
These permanent, whatever is there, this is just for the practice sake. So when you actually work in a real-time environment, you don't have to use this data. But you might have to create a permanent library. Let's say you have one particular task, then you have to deliver it to somewhere, to someone, right? So you cannot keep it in a work area. It will go off again. So that time you have to create your own predefined permanent library. And you will keep your data sets there. Got it?
Okay, got it.
So let's see now how we can create. Before that, just for the clarification, if somebody asks you what are the permanent library and what are the temporary library, you can say, give example of SAS help, SAS user. These are the permanent one. Sorry, these are the permanent one, and work is the temporary one. Let's create one sample data set. How we will create a data in a SAS. We'll write our first code in a SAS. Whenever you have to create a data, you will write a keyword called as data. And then after you mention the name of the data set. Let's say I'll keep the name as something as test. This is my data set which I am creating. End of the statement, I'll just mention semicolon. Whenever there is an end of statement, you will say we are writing a SAS statement here. At the end, you will mention semicolon. Now, if you're writing a code, you will consider data from somewhere. Or that is not required as of now. We'll discuss that after a few minutes. We'll create a data here itself instead of considering it from somewhere. So if you're creating a data, what I told you, we'll have a column and observation. How to create a column? You'll use a keyword called as input. Then you can mention your column name. Let's say I'm creating a data for a particular person, and I'm mentioning their name, their age, and their sex. These are my three different variable, or in a layman language, it is a column. End of the statement, semicolon. One thing you have to keep in mind here, whenever you are mentioning a variable which will have a character value. So basically you have a two kinds of data. Anyone is aware of what are the two data types we have in a SAS? No worries. So we have basically two kinds of data. One is your numeric, one is your character. Let's say I have value like support at smart clinical.com, and I have my number, let's say. Then after, let's say I have combination of number and some text. Again, let's say I have number and I have few special character. Tables are or character data types are having a will have the text. If any variable contains the text value or a special character, that becomes character type. This is your character data type. One is numeric, which have the number. If any variable, so if you see here, these are the text. That means these variables are character variables. See here, I have here engine size is the numeric variable because it has the number or decimal places. This is the numeric data type. If you wanted to know in detail, you can just go here and you can, if you click make here, make is a character variable. If you see here 1, 2, 3, this is the numeric variable. Type is numeric. This is what kind of variable? My phone number?
Numeric.
Numeric. What about next one?
Character.
This is a combination of text and number. So what is the data type for this? Don't feel hesitant. Think a little.
I don't know, sir.
Okay.
I think
So whenever you have the combination of numeric value and a character value, that becomes character. That variable type is character. Numeric will have only the numbers or decimal places one. Other than that, if you have any kind of text in the variable, or if you in the next example, I have here number along with some special character. This becomes your character type. Clear? Character variable have text or special character. Numeric will have the numbers or decimal. Let's say I have value as 1. That 1.5 is the numeric data type. Clear? So whenever you are creating a variable which is of type character, you have to mention a symbol called as $. When I was learning SAS, how I remember this, that I have to put I used to forget to put the character symbol, and then after I used to execute this code, and obviously it will give an error. Age will have like number like 10, 20, 30, 40. So this is a numeric data type. So I don't have to mention anything here. Sex it will have the value as male, female. So that is again become the character variable. So I'll say here, I'll keep $1 here. You can, that's not required to keep a space. Without space also it will work. So how I used to remember is that what happened in a society, like someone's character is like, they tend to judge it by how much money they are earning. And dollar is the most valuable, I mean, most value it has, right? Dollar, most strongest currency in the world is dollar. So I used to remember like that. Someone's character is judged by how much money they make, and dollar have the highest currency, right? So you can mention, you can remember like that. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
To create the data, you will mention a keyword as CAR, and also SAS is giving you suggestion. If you write the partial only, you will see, you are seeing the suggestion that what can be the statement. That makes it's very easier for you to follow the code, what you have to write, or to avoid any kind of spelling mistake. Cards, end of the line, semicolon. Now we'll create a data. Let's say I have the name, anything, A. I have three subject, not subject. Let's say I have three person, A, B, and C. The name is ABC. Keep a space, one space, and let's say their age is 10. Second person have the age 20. Third have the age 30. One space. A is male. B is, let's say, female. Third one is the male. I have created a data. After that, once you are done with the providing the value of a data, you can just mention semicolon. And now everything is done. Now you have the variable and the observation. These are your observation basically. In simple language, these are my rows. These are my columns. Now I have to tell the SAS that my code is complete. You can execute it. For that, you can say, you can mention run statement. That's it. Every time ending the line of a code with a semicolon. And select this. Either you can use the shortcut as F3, or you have the run symbol here. You can click on that. Now you can see you have a data set created. This is the first data set what we have created here. This is my column or variable. This is my rows, or I should say it as an observation. Makes sense? If you click on this, you can see the type character, age is numeric, sex is character. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. But I have a doubt.
Yeah.
What does cards mean here?
Card
Input
means,
is
card means
input
that
means
you are going to
this.
create a data. Using the card statement, you are telling SAS that I'm now going to write the values for a data. These are my observations.
And you told that for every character we have to keep dollar.
Uh,
So is it mandatory or
let's
will
try.
it not execute if it
Let's
is not?
let's try. So you have to be very much curious and do the experiment. When you learn something, do mistake and see how SAS is working. If I run this, see now, it's not giving an error, but the value is not reading. Because by default, what SAS think is that all the variables are numeric. Whenever you are not mentioning the dollar sign, SAS by default consider it as the numeric data type. So if you see age is a numeric data type, so it's reading that variable, that value. But name and sex is a character variable. So that's one is not it's reading. So whenever you have a missing value, it is have the value as period here. So to
Okay, so
avoid that,
for wherever we have character in the data,
yeah,
definitely a dollar should be there.
yes, character just by something example, you can just think that's it. Now if I run this, now you have the data in a proper manner. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is how we have created a one sample data. What we'll do is, next we will read the data from the existing library. I have showed you that we have some data in here, and this is the warehouse factory that is called as the library. These are my libraries. So let's say I wanted to read this data. I have SAS help is my library name. Under that, I have some data sets. I wanted to read it without clicking this in a code. How can I do that? Whenever you have to create a data, write data name. Let's say we are keeping it as the test one. Okay. And keep in mind, whenever you are mentioning a data set name, it should follow some naming convention. Convention is that you can give this name up to a 32 character. Up to 32 character, this name can take. Not a value I'm telling. You can either mention come like this. You can mention like this to 32. That is not good. Keep it short, meaningful. It should not start with numeric. If I keep here, let's say one and text is my data set name, it won't run. Syntax error. Expecting one of the following. So if you read this is, I told you in the log window, we can see the error, any issues, warning, note, everything we have here. And SAS is quite SAS logs are quite self-explanatory. If you read this, the symbol is not recognized and will be ignored. What symbol is not recognized? It's telling here. It's highlighted here. This one have some issue. I'm going to start with a number. However, you can keep the number after the first letter. If I'm keeping one here at the end. I can also keep here something here as well. And so you can keep letters and numbers. Numbers only after the first place. You can also include underscore. And also only one special character is allowed, that is underscore. If I keep that, it will still run. Test underscore. Also I'll include some character as well here. See, it's still reading work dot test underscore. Work means what? This is my library where I'm keeping it. If you're not mentioning any library, see here we can mention some library. I'll show you. So I'm not mentioning any library as of now. So it's going into the work area, which is the temporary library. So if I sign out, I won't see this data here in work area. Now, if I open this, I have this test underscore, test one underscore. This is that's the meaning of permanent and temporary. So what I was telling you, yeah. So these three file naming convention you have to follow. Variable naming convention. It can go up to 32 character. Names have to start with letter or underscore. If I'm keeping underscore here in the beginning, that also will work. And we can use letters and numbers in a name, but numbers can come after the first place. I'm creating one data set called as test1. Semicolon. I will read the data from the existing predefined library, which is SAS help. For that, I have to use a keyword called as set. To call the existing data set, you have to use the keyword set. From where I want to read? I wanted to read it from SAS help. Solve this. So I'll say the library name as first SAS help. And then after I wanted to read within this, I wanted to read, let's say here is the data set. I'll mention the dot period symbol and I will say I wanted to read AIR semicolon. I wanted to execute this. What will happen now? I'm reading data set from this particular library and this is a data set name and it will create a data set name as, let's say, test2. If I run this, you have a data set created here. It's the same data what you are having there in a SAS help library. It's just that now the data set name is changed. I have created something else from the existing one. Let's say if in case I told you if you're not mentioning any libraries, then it will go into your work library, which is temporary. I wanted to make it permanent. How can I create a permanent library? For that, you have something called as libname. In the libname statement, you can create a permanent library. Or if you already have a permanent library, and from that permanent library, if you want to read or existing data set, you can use the libname statement. Libname is the keyword, and instead of work, I wanted to create my own permanent library that you cannot create here. Or you can create here as well, but first of all, let's create one folder. So let's say I will create a folder first here, create a folder, create new folder. Let's say I'm making a permanent library with name, something as SAS out, something, anything you can keep. I'll save it. SAS out. Now you can see that is created. If I open this, as of now, nothing is there. So this is my permanent library. I wanted to store my data set under this particular library. For that, I will mention libname statement, and you can keep the library name, something, let's say I'm keeping here test. Test is my library name here. Where it should, let's say I have this data, I wanted to place it in a permanent library. But where is the permanent library? I have here. I'll take the path of this. Send the path here. End of the code, semicolon. Basically, the syntax is libname statement, library name, and path. That is how you create a permanent library. If I run this, you can see libref test was successfully assigned. And this is the path. Library name is test here, and it's reading this particular one. This is the permanent library. Now I wanted to place this test2 data set under a permanent library, under this folder. Same way, how we were reading the SAS help. Then after we were mentioning the data set name, same way, we'll mention the library first. Library name here is test, right? Test dot test2. This is to create a data, right? Data keyword is to create a data. So what will happen now? Set a statement, it will read from SAS help.air. Data is getting read from SAS help library, and exact dataset name is air, and it will create a dataset name as test2, and it will replace, or it will save the dataset in the test library. Whenever you see dot, in a data statement or in a set statement, that means there is some library involved. Now, if I run this, see what happened. Now I can see inside this SAS out library, which is permanent. Now I have the data set. You can see all this information. Is it clear? This is the process of creating a permanent library. Name statement, whatever library name you wanted to keep, and path. Now, if I log out, what will happen? This will still be there because I have made it permanent. As of now, same, you can see it here as well under libraries tab. So which one I have created? Test is the one which I have created. So here it will show as a test. But in the back end, this test have the path of this one. Leave that. It is maybe confusing for you. So I'll not show you there. I'll show you here only. So here I have the library. If I log out, I will have a data still. If I check in the work area, as of now, it is there. But when I log in back, it will not be there. That is how you create a permanent library. Is it clear? Are you following me? Any doubt, any question? Is it clear?
But can we delete the data set that we create? Right now we created test. Now I decided there are some errors. I wanted to delete it or I wanted to replace it.
Okay, so let's say you have some issues in the dataset which you created. So next time you will rectify in your code and rerun it again. What will happen? It will replace the earlier one. It will replace the earlier one with the new data set. Okay.
So I think I don't have to delete it. And
No, you don't
create
have to
another.
delete it. You don't have to. Or if in case you wanted to, so test is not from here, you can go there and SAS out. And you can just right click, delete. That is not required. If you rerun it again, it will replace with the new one. So this is called as single level of dataset name. This is called as the two level of dataset name. We are mentioning the library as well as obviously we have to mention the dataset name. This is two level of dataset name. This is one level of dataset name. Let's say I wanted to print this data. Instead of seeing it in a output data folder, output data tab, you wanted to print it in a result tab. For that, there is syntax proc. Proc means procedure. I wanted to print the data. So print is the keyword. What data I wanted to print? Data equal to. See, by default it's coming. Which data set I want to print? I wanted to print, let's say this, or let's say this one. Test. End of the code, semicolon. I wanted to execute now, run statement. Our data in a result tab, it is printed. It's not a data set, it is just getting printed here. If you want to print the data, use proc print. If you want to create data, then you have to write the entire thing. Let's say we have created, right? Let's say I wanted to just print, instead of creating this a data set, I wanted to print this SAS help.air because that is there in a predefined library. I don't want to create it. Just library name and what data you wanted to read. Run it. Now you see it's printed here. It's not creating any data set. Data set was there in the output data tab. Clear? This is one of the procedure. We call it as a procedure. Whenever you have to create a data statement. So entire code of SAS, yeah, in a base SAS programming, You will either write in a data statement or in a proc statement. Even in advanced SAS, you will write in a data statement or in a proc statement. Not statement, this is procedure. Proc procedure, data statement. Clear? And you can make a note of all this thing while watching, because you're seeing what you are reading or watching this for the first time. So it may get, you may tends to forget this. So I'll suggest you go through the recording again. And that time, while watching the recording, you pause it and make a note. Don't make any note as of now. Make a note while watching the session again and watch it multiple times. Because whenever you're learning something for the first time, you'll forget again after a session, after an hour. But if you watch it again and again, it will stuck into your mind. So that time you make a note. Whatever I'm telling you, you can make a note of it. I'll also provide you my notes, which you can see on a website. You can mention the comment in SAS. Comment is basically, let's say you have written this code, right? You wanted to mention that why I have created something. I can say this is created to read the data from SAS out folder. And then after use command call as control question mark. It's a shortcut key to comment your text. Or if you're on a MacBook, you can use command question mark. Basically, the purpose of comment is to mention that why I am doing something. It's not required every time for you to write. If something is like after 1 week or after a month, you may forget that why I have written this. If you provide the comment here like this, then it's easy for you to understand. And what will happen whenever you are putting this forward and a star and backward slash, it won't execute. If you mention like this, it will throw a error. So if you are just making it as a comment, which is basically command question mark, it will comment this. What will happen? This particular line will not get execute. Even if I'm selecting this 2 line and running this, it will run. Working in a company and after you left, like you have written a code in little complicated way, or somebody is a new, he don't know. So you may write a code. Okay, this is the purpose of doing this particular statement, writing this particular statement. That's the purpose behind it. So it's easier for them to understand if you written some simple English text. If you wanted to uncomment, just remove this either by selecting like this, or you can use the shortcut key, which is again same command question mark or control question mark. Okay, that is a comment. Then I'll cover one more thing. This is, what is that? In file statement. Now we are reading the data set only. Let's say your input file is in a format of CSV file you have, or you have TXT file. How you can read it? Any idea? So let's say I will show you one file I have here. See here, this is file.txt. If any kind of file, if you wanted to upload, let's say I will provide you with some data set for practice. So you can create a folder and you can just right click, upload files, and you can choose the path where you have placed all those data set, anything. You can upload it here again, and then you can practice it. So I have one txt file. I cannot read it in a SAS. I cannot create a data set directly. I have to write a code for that. Or I have a CSV file, let's say. It won't read directly. If I'm clicking AE here, this is, if you see, .SAS7B that means it is a SAS data set. I can read it easily. Like if I click on this, I can see data set. But if I click this, it's showing to you, but this is not the data set. Data set should look like this. See here, the variable names are missing. So for that, you have something called as in file statement. So I will create a data set using this file.txt. So in file.txt, I have values like this. So to create data set again, data will keep the name something as again test3. And I wanted to read it from this particular folder, right? So for that, you can mention, or you should mention in file statement. In file statement is the statement using which you can read the CSV file or .txt file, which is not in a SAS B7 DAT format. In file statement, simple, within the quotation, mention the path. So I can right click, properties. This is the path I have. End of the line, semicolon. Then after I'll mention the variable name. I told you we can use input to specify the variable name. I could see in this file I have, let's say something, some ID I have, some product I have Dell HP, then I have some prices, let's say this is a quantity and this is something as total. So we'll mention the variable name. For that, input is the keyword input. I'll create the variable name as ID. Another one I'll keep it as a, let's say, product. Another variable is price. Another variable is, let's say, quantity, QTY. Last is total. Because this is the 1, 2, 3, 5 column or variable I have. I mean 5 data I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Semicolon. And then execute this code by mentioning run statement. Will this code will execute?
$sign next to product.
Correct. Since few of the texts are variables are in a character data type, I have to mention, I think only one have the, only this product have the data type as a character. For that, I will just say $. Run this. It will create the, okay, some error we got, invalid file. Why? In file statement, anything we are missing? Input statement. Oh, we mention it under ID, product, price, quantity, total. Invalid file. File is invalid. Okay. Oh, we did not mention anywhere which file we wanted to read, right? So we are trying to read here file.txt, right? So that we have to mention here. Which file I wanted to read. / file.txt. SAS is not that smart that it will think that what you're thinking in your mind. So now if I read this, if I run this, now I have a file. I have a data set actually. ID, product, price, everything now you can see. One variable is of type character. All others are numeric. Is this clear? Clear?
Yes. So, Abhi,
Yeah.
will the program guide us when to put file txt? Is it in the front or back?
You have to mention at the last. First of all, the path you have. First, you are mentioning the path. Under that path, which file you wanted to read. If I actually copied this, what I did was I copied from here. If I go to file text, properties, then entire text I have, even file.txt also I have there. That makes easier instead of writing it manually. Okay. Path, then your file name. Let's say you have some CSV, you will say here file.csv extension. Clear? I will stop now. So I'll just give you the overview what we covered today. Data is the statement, a keyword to create a data set name, to create a data set. Input is the keyword to create a variable. Using card, we are telling SAS that you create a data. At the end of all the statement, I have semicolon. Run is to execute the code. That my code is now finished, you can run it. Lib name is to create a library. Lib name, your library name and your path. Proc print is to print the data in a result tab. In file statement, to read any CSV or TXT kind of files. Clear? Any question? We'll cover the next topic in the next class. And before that, I will give you some assignments. So see, all whatever I have covered, you write whenever you are practicing, or you should practice and write the same thing. Write the same thing, create all these libraries, folders, everything on your own system. Do some experiment, do the write the code in some different way and see how SAS is behaving, how SAS is working. Whatever I have covered, write all the code while watching the recording, make the notes also from it. And also I will assign you some assignments.
I have a doubt.
Yeah, go ahead.
You have shown like SAS help, like we got the data. I mean, like we were taking data from the existing one, but I don't want all the data. I just want some particular things. So can I do that? Can I filter?
Yes, so we are filtering only. So if you see this, we are filtering only that from SAS help library. We only want, this is the one data I want. You don't want to read everything. Those all are predefined already. These are predefined.
Yes, but in air, I want certain
yeah, certain columns only, certain variables only.
yes.
Yeah,
Like more than something or less than something.
more than or less than, we'll see that how we can do that in the further classes. For that, we have a statement. We'll cover that.
Okay, thank you.
I thought that is too much to digest in a first class. So we'll go step by step. Okay. So yeah, some assignment I have. This you can ignore. This two assignment along with whatever examples I have shown you. You can write the code in your own SAS application. Along with that, you can work on this two assignment. Upload the provided demo data set. I'll provide you this data set into SAS application. Read it and write it using the libraries and keep the data set name as demo using lib name statement. So basically what I'm telling you here, I will provide you this demo data set. You have to first of all load this into a folder and you have to create one more data set. I mean, using this only you have to create a data set called as using the lib name statement. You can do that. Requirement is clear. Demo data set, you will take it as an input and new data set name will be demo. And you will place this in some particular folder here. You can create as per your own wish, or you can create the same SAS out. SAS library here is for our input here. We are keeping all our, let's say, input data sets here or programs here. And SAS out, let's say I'm creating is the library to store our created data set. Whatever data set we are creating, we'll keep it here. The same thing you have to do. Using this demo, create a data set called as demo and keep it under SAS out library. It's easy, right? So whatever we have covered, using that, you can easily create that. And And also I will provide you this file.txt file and you have to read it. Read it and create a data set called as file. This file.txt, I think I've already have covered it, but you can do it on your own again. So these two are the assignment for you, and I will be keeping the progress also, how the progress are going on. So this is the sheet I have created, and after the assignment I can make it as done or not done. Okay, pending. Is it clear? Anything? Any question? All recording, all the files, you can see it on a website itself in the same course folder. Any questions, any doubts, if you are having, you can reach out to me on a WhatsApp number. I mean, you don't have to wait for the next class. If you want, while practicing, you are getting some doubts, you can just reach out to me on a WhatsApp number. Or you can ask in the class as well. But I don't want you to wait for the class, next class. You can just ping me, and whenever I see a message, I'll reply to that. It's clear, Madhuri, Nikhila?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
बस
Okay, fine. So I'll wrap up the session, and we'll meet again on Monday morning IST, and US timing it is evening on Sunday, I think. We'll look into the further concepts of base SAS programming. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining. We'll see you again. Thank you. Bye-bye.